Welcome once again to the Twincast. It is our first actual episode.
Yes, it
and
is.
Today we are going to be going over some crazy stuff.
What kind of crazy stuff we talking here?
We're talking about a set of twins that both happen to be killers.
Both of them. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
So before we get started, we must play our intro music.
Okay, well, we can do away with that. Just kick that over there.
Yes. So, Wade, would you like to go ahead and give an introduction of the two individuals we will be covering today?
The two individuals. Okay, so we have Robert and Stephen Spahalski, or something. Schwinkterwowski. I think it's Spahalski. Did I say that right? Anybody? You can, Snopes, you can fact check me on that one. But yeah, we got Robert and Stephen. Robert would go by, Bobby or something? What do you go by?
No.
Robert. Bruce. Oh, my gosh.
Bruce.
I thought Bob was like Robert but short, but whatever. Bruce. Maybe it's a middle name. People go by their middle names are the worst. Anyway, we got Robert and Stephen here. So both of them grew up in Elmira, New York.
I think it's Elmira.
Elmira. You see, this is what happens when I'm not from New York. And they were there from the 1960s, born in the 1960s, grew up in the 60s. So,
Yep.
But they were both born on December 12th, 1954. Hang on, so I'm gonna zoom in on this really quickly. My eyes are.
I can go ahead and give some fun facts about them.
Well, well, fine.
Both of them were great gymnasts, apparently. And I don't know why this is a fact. Yeah.
How is that not a fact? It's a literal fact.
I'm saying why
it was there that it was there.
I don't know why we need to mention it though, but
this is why it's worth mentioning because it humanizes them. Because a lot of the stuff they did was pretty disgusting. Like, well, we'll hear about that in a bit. But I mean, they were both human beings, still kinda. I mean, yes, they were both gymnasts. So according to Stephen. He had actually competed at state meets, even had a college scholarship lined up. I don't know to what university, maybe Cedarville for all we know. And he would have competed, but, well, then his life took a bit of a rough turn after an interaction with a Mr. Ronald Ripley. So, I don't know if you want me to start with that.
Yeah, please.
Or do you want to talk about Robert first? Because technically Stephen killed first, but Robert's got a bit more blood on his hands.
We can talk about Stephen first.
Stephen, my man Stephen. I like the name Stephen, but I also like the name Wade more. So according to some kind of articles I've read, so also the point of this is just kind of highlight these sets of twins. And it's kind of interesting because both of them have a criminal record, but they didn't exactly work together while doing this. So
not at all. It's kind of interesting, though. You'll see later on. There's a couple similarities between the two with how they
behaved, yes, in a very murderous and other ways. So, on November 24th, 1971, Stephen, apparently Stephen claimed this. Sources say that Robert was under investigation. And then Stephen came forth and confessed. So it could have been Ronald. I don't know. I mean, a name like Ronald or Robert, name like Ronald, this guy was a weirdo too. But a name like Bruce, you never know. Bruce Wayne over here. But Stephen, he the first victim on November 24th, 1971. This happened in their hometown. So Ronald was a shop owner.
He was getting a little spicy.
Yeah, he got a little spicy with the boys. Ronald was 48 years old when this happened. Stephen was 17, so I don't know. Stephen claimed. So what happened is Ronald apparently made some unwanted sexual advances on Stephen. I'm honestly not entirely sure how it got to this point. Stephen did come out later. I assume that they were kind of doing some things, but either way, made some unwanted advances on him. And that eventually led to Stephen basically taking a hammer, bashing Ronald over the head with it, and then stabbing him to death to finish him off. Again, what exactly led to this moment, it's kind of unclear, kind of reading some newspaper articles and the sort. He was a shop owner. I assume he was running some kind of sex stuff in his basement of some sort. I'm not entirely sure. But nonetheless, it kind of led to that moment in which he killed him. And despite all this, Ronald, he was still a family man. He had a wife, 5 children, 2 grandchildren at the time, 2 sisters, and even 3 brothers. So it's not like this was just like some lonely guy. You kill someone, they know other people. But yeah, the weirdest thing about this is that whenever Stephen or according to Stephen, whenever he murdered him, they were initially investigating Robert, and they were gonna kind of close down on Robert, but then Stephen came forward and confessed the crime. I remember reading, I think it was the Democrat and the Chronicle was the name of the publication. I think it was published like 2005, I believe. Talked about how they even nonetheless thought that thought that Bruce was there. Yeah, Robert was there, but they couldn't really prove it, so it's kind of up in the air of whether or not he was. But nonetheless, that was his first murder at the ripe young age of 17. So kind of a young age to be doing that kind of stuff.
Something interesting, too, is a couple of different sources said he was 15 years old when this happened.
What was the other source?
So the other source is just a compilation of from Radford University. They did the Department of Psychology did an investigation upon this whole situation. And so there's a little bit of conflicting information. Funny enough, it's actually pretty difficult to find information on the two of these guys.
I know, right?
It's not as available as you'd think for how recent the crimes were. And believe it or not, there's not even a Wikipedia page that we could find with a quick Google search.
The end all be all. Wikipedia's gospel truth.
Amen. So we did some digging here, and there was a little bit of conflicting information, but for the most part, trust us, we're experts, obviously.
Oh, obviously, I'd never lied to you about this. But yeah, and Stephen, he kind of spent a lot of his time in prison for various things. And eventually in 2009, and I know this is jumping way ahead, but Stephen, he actually was released from prison about 2009, had been out. Let me see I got a kabillion tabs open here. That's how I run my computer. I have a million tabs open. I don't know about you, but okay, anyway, yeah, 2009, his twin. He was released from prison after pretty much serving every day of his 30-year sentence for. He also went in for armed robbery and kidnapping. So after his murder and all that, he had committed further crimes in the future. He pretty much had been so thoroughly institutionalized at that point that he kind of considered prison to be his home. Just because he'd been in prison so long. 17, 30 years, that's a lot of time. So in a sense, he didn't really know how to make a living outside of being in prison. I mean, that's just how it's been. So it was a few months later after he was released, he walked into a bank, basically handed a teller a note demanding money, and then just sat down off the side and waited for the police to arrive. Granted, I mean, he wasn't quite institutionalized for the rest of his life. He only received 300 days in jail, and kind of today lives halfway house, kind of walks around, enjoys life as it is. I'm going to say I thought he, got arrested again until, 2016. Oh, my gosh. I need to get better at my research. Oh, well, anyway.
As we said, we are experts.
I am a freaking expert. Let me tell you what. The best of the best. Let's see. Teamed up former private investigator, new girls, graduate.
Moral of the story,
yeah.
He's been in and out of jail recently, and as far as we know, we think he's out of jail currently.
I thought he got out. For some reason, I thought he got out 2016.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That threw me off. I thought that got him in jail till 16. Let me see. Oh my gosh, these words are so small. All right. Anyway, yeah, he went to jail until 2016, and
do you want to go ahead and
maybe he's been out? I haven't seen anything past 2016. That's the other thing. It's been so in and off, blah blah blah.
Yep.
Whatever. But I do know that he's basically. It's kind of one of those things where you think people are sitting around I can't wait to get out, and it's you get out and then. All right. It's like the fish from Nemo once they leave the dentist office. They get out and it's now what? So basically the fact that he went in and gave their teller a note and just waited for the cops, he just was I that's how I live. So whether you want to start on a discussion on how our institutions for imprisoning prisoners can be reformed to help them actually get back out in the world. That's another discussion for sure. But nonetheless, he was released from prison, then went back, and I don't know. It's just kind of unique to see, like, you'd think someone would want to come out, and then once they're out, it's there you go. So, but yeah, that's kind of the gist on Stephen. The biggest thing that's unique with Stephen is that, I mean, there's a story where both of them were in jail at the same time, but let's hear a bit more about Bruce before we get into
Bruce.
that. Bruce definitely has a bit more on his hands.
Yeah, he's a wild child.
Yeah, but Stephen definitely had his moments, but definitely Bruce had his moments. So, Andrew, the floor is yours.
Even from an early age, you could really tell that Robbie or Bruce, Robert,
whatever his
Robbie.
name, Robbie. All right.
You could probably predict that his life was going to end up.
Oh, how
somewhere
so? How so?
Great. So I'm going to go to this giant list of crimes that he's committed in his life.
Was that the link that was from that sketchy site?
It's not sketchy. This is from like a university, baby. It's a department of psychology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is good stuff. So, July 1971, 15 years old. Robert is charged with unauthorized use of motor vehicle after being stopped by police in Elmira. So basically, he stole a vehicle, and he didn't steal the vehicle. He was caught driving a stolen vehicle. So take it as you want.
All right.
August 1971, 15. He's charged with a felony arson after he set fire to a stage curtain and a flag in his school.
Are you going to read every single one of these?
No, I'm going to.
Oh, okay. There's a lot.
No.
Please go for it,
October 1971, 15 weekends in jail after he pleads guilty to unauthorized use of stolen vehicle in July.
Shame.
So that's when he was in jail for that previous offense. So 15 years old, 11/24/1971. This is when Ronald Ripley was supposedly murdered by Robert's brother Stephen. So we're going to fast forward a little bit to December 1971. This is when he was caught criminally trespassing, pleads guilty, and blah, blah, blah,
Wasn't he like trespassing on a school or something?
Yeah. And then 1973,
what a man.
Stole $3,000 or something like that in prison. And so what year were they in prison together?
1976?
Okay.
78. Oh, I was close.
Okay, so
it was a
we're
good
getting
guess,
there. 1976, charged with third-degree burglary. That's the high school incident. I'm not going to get in details. You can find all these funny details.
No, but that's what we're here for, right?
Oh.
What are the details?
We're getting in the details of the murders, not necessarily the petty little crimes.
Murder. All right.
Forget the felonies.
Stealing a life.
All right. So, we're going to fast forward to 1976, July. Charged with third-degree burglary after breaking into a high school in Elmira, he is convicted and sentenced to 2 to 5 years in Auburn Correctional Facility. It just so happens his brother was there, too.
Oh.
This is where things get really funny.
All right. How is it funny?
Interesting. Because we've all lived this reality of being clumped together with your twin.
I don't know.
And this is taken to the extreme.
All right.
July 1978. So we still don't know which one it was. But one of the Spahalski brothers, they hid in the false bottom of an army truck. They had this great escape plan to get out of prison. And so they were with another guy, and so basically they were just driving an army truck, getting out of this place, getting out of this joint. And prison officials had reason to believe that one of the twins was in the truck, but the twin, evaded the officers and ran into the auto body shop where him and his brother, worked at the prison. This is what I understand. So both were there. Both were worked there. So the officials were like, which twin was it? And they couldn't pinpoint which one. So they just were like, oh, well, we're going to throw you both into solitary confinement.
There you go.
It's kind of like the ultimate extreme of oh, here's $5 for you two to split for your birthday present. And then my younger brother gets a $20 bill for himself.
That's a personal problem.
Oh, but is it? Or it's like when, you got these people that know you, and they're like, hey, twin, hey, Reinhard twin. It's like, he's going to clump me together with the other one? This is the ultimate extreme of that, just being thrown in a solitary.
It's freaking ridiculous. No, so let me also fill in a few gaps there too. So the false bottom and the Army truck. So the Army truck was taking off from the Auburn Correctional Facility. This was 1978. And they actually, so the source that it was a newspaper. Again, they haven't quite pinpointed. The newspapers seem to err on the side that it was Robert. And that he and this other guy, they didn't state the name or anything. Well, think of in a play, it'd be like generic background character number 2. We'll call him number 2. So basically, Robert number 2, they hatched this plan of how they intentionally, because they worked in the auto shop, and they built this secret compartment in the truck. So it wasn't like the compartment was there; they built it. So Robert number 2, they were gonna hide in this and sneak off, and then they obviously got busted, and then they caught number 2, and then basically what you said. But the neat thing was that they intentionally were gonna try to sneak out and then got busted. But that is funny how they just lumped them together. It's like, we ain't gonna try to even figure it out. We're just gonna plump them together and. And that was that. So after that, I don't know if they got any other comeuppance and beat up'ems, but that was kind of like their big, their twin moment.
Yeah.
So
So we're gonna keep going, and with good old Brucey's story here.
What else we got here?
He steals a couple more things, goes to jail a couple more times, and then we go fast forward to 1990.
The greatest decade ever.
December 31st. New Year's Eve.
All right, drama queen, just tell us what we got here.
Okay, so, this is where things get a little interesting. So,
in a PG kind of way?
Not a PG kind of way.
Ooh.
The victim's name is Moraine Armstrong, 24, New Year's Eve, 1990. So Brucey, some sources say it was his acquaintance and girlfriend. She was a prostitute.
Ooh.
And so basically, she demanded money after.
Yes, go on.
After, what prostitutes do, they have sex. And
ew.
And he was like, "No, I ain't paying you $100. I just gave you $100 worth of cocaine." And so he's quoted as saying, "I choked her out." And her body was found with an electrical cord around her throat in the, was it a hotel room?
I'd assume it was a hotel room. Either that or a Motel 6 or something. Motel 69 or something.
Interesting enough, Robert, or Robbie Boy, whatever you
can't say his real name. No, we ain't going to have that.
Allegedly hung around the scene and even talked to police during the investigation, identifying himself as a friend of the deceased. So we're going to fast forward to the second victim. About 7 months later, Robbie's girlfriend, Adrienne Berger, B-E-R-G-E-R.
We'll call her Berger. Think Fred Berger from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
So she was found dead in her apartment in Rochester, New York, according to the Radford University timeline.
Oh, wow.
He was later convicted of Berger's murder. Berger? We're going with
this chick lady.
Chick lady. Her body has been, when her body was found, it was so degraded because it was rotting in the heat. There's a heat wave in the area, and it had been rotting for days.
Ew.
It was so rotted that no cause of death could be determined.
Gross.
Flies buzzed around the windows, and the stench made its way outside. So authorities determined that Berger had a relationship with Robert and questioned him. But without any solid evidence, they let him go.
I guess if you can't prove it, not guilty until proven guilty, right? That's how our court system works, and thank God for that.
So, yeah, but for people like this, my goodness.
Was this the one where he ate her face off after snorting a bunch of coke or smoking crack or something?
No, this is Charles. This is Chucky.
Oh, Chucky.
The third victim is Charles Grande.
Ooh, related to Ariana Grande?
I doubt it.
Oh.
So the same year, I believe it said 3 months later, Robert would kill his only male victim. So, get this. This is where things get interesting.
Egalitarian at its finest, all right.
Guess how he killed him? He killed him with a hammer.
Wow.
Sound familiar?
Where did I hear that from before?
So
His older
he
brother?
bludgeoned
Second
Charles
older brother?
Grande to death in Webster, New York. Robert, at this time, was in a very low place of his life. He was selling his body.
Ooh.
And despite allegedly, well, I mean, yeah, here we're going to go with this. Let me backtrack a little bit.
Okay. What are
So
we
there was a
backing up to?
dispute, and this arose over the payment.
How much was the payment?
You know,
I think it was $20, wasn't it?
it was
It was
something-
cheap. It was cheap sex.
It was kind of ridiculous for a murder.
I'd
but
kill him. But I also won't be having sex with him. Anyway, go on.
So yeah, that was the third victim. For 10 years, good old Robbie stayed under the radar. And when I say good old Robbie, I mean I don't like Robbie at all.
You don't like him?
No, I don't like
Oh,
Robbie.
he's a gentleman.
Oh, definitely. At least as far as the records show, he stayed under the radar. He sold drugs and became addicted himself. He also contracted HIV. Wonder how that happened. Probably because of his lifestyle.
Probably the Bible.
So we're going to fast forward again to his fourth victim.
Fourth one.
So at this point, can you consider this like a serial killer?
I think.
Or you just chalk this up to like
What
anger issues or something?
I think a serial killer's like 3 or something.
I don't
Google it. Google.
So y'all can tell us.
No.
You can go to our Instagram and DM us and be like, "Yo, this is what."
I better get some good messages from this. I'd say the super chat, but we're not, YouTube live. Anyway, go on.
So the fourth victim, Robert, quote unquote, smoked too much crack, and he had a vision of his friend Vivian Irizarry.
Viv, my girl Viv. What happened to Viv?
So, in his vision, she turned into a demon and needed to be vanquished.
And how does one vanquish said demon?
Apparently by eating their face.
Oh, I don't know if I.
You explain that to me. It doesn't. Yeah, stay away from drugs, kids. So regret set in pretty quickly after he strangled her, and he bathed her body, put her in the basement where temperatures were cooler. And so Robert would reportedly visit the body from time to time and cry and apologize. So this is where another similarity between the twins gets interesting. I don't know if you knew this, but both twins, they believed in communing with their victims after death.
Define communing, like talking to them?
Yes. So Stephen also told the Democrat and Chronicle in 2005 that he spoke with Ronald Ripley after he killed him.
Spoken like a true extempore.
Both twins have this weirdo tendency to want to talk
to the dead. Yeah, no, you got to conversate. No one else is going to talk to you about it.
Oh, I'm so sorry I killed you. Like, okay.
That's apology accepted. Actually, no, thank you for killing me.
Days after killing Irizarry, I think that's how you
Who cares?
That. Apparently guilt-stricken, Robert walked into the Rochester Public Safety Building and confessed. He was so guilty over killing his friend. Forget the other three. Like, obviously, he didn't care about them.
And before you forget, a serial killer is typically someone who murders 3 or more people. So, I Googled it. Anyway, didn't mean to. Yeah, go on. So they went to the Rochester whatchamacallit.
Yeah, and he confessed. According to the timeline, after the body was found, Robert confessed to also the 3 other murders as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephen was oblivious this entire time that his brother was killing people.
What a doorknob.
So when Stephen caught wind of his twin's confession in 2005, he was still in prison. He was serving his latest in the string of sentences that made up his life since the age of 17. He was shocked. He's quoted as saying, "I thought I was the only murderer in the family." In 2006, Robert was convicted and sentenced to 25 years to life for each murder, which is 4, count them 4, with each sentence to run consecutively. So, interestingly enough, I read somewhere in the vastness of my amazing research,
of course,
that after he confessed, the defense attorney was like arguing like, "Yo, forget he confessed."
They tried to plead insanity.
I don't know exactly what happened, but the man was insane.
Really?
How can you not be? He's just a lunatic.
Definition of insanity.
So, Robert, we're going to get into a little bit of his early life. Robert was asked about his early life when he was in prison. Man, one of your cameras is flipping a lid.
It is. Keep ignoring it.
I'll ignore it. And he was asked about his murderous tendencies and where his killing began. And he said that he took his father's favorite pig and put a gun to its head and blew a pig's brain out.
Oh, poor little piggy.
So Robert was asked if he was angry with his father when this happened. And he said, no, I just felt like pork chops. So, yeah.
Rip. Rip, 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 rip. That is sad. And I mean, it's kind of, that pig was probably just minding his own business. It's like Spider Pig, just oinking around.
So that concludes Robert's killing. He is now in prison serving the rest of his life.
I think it was 100 years I saw. Your dude, Robert, he was so much...
He'll die in prison.
He was so much well documented than Stephen.
Stephen, honestly, was not documented at all.
There's nothing. So in case you people out there Wade didn't do his research, well, that's halfway true. He's also not very well documented. So I just wanted to clarify.
So
I'm not that lazy, all right? I kind of am, but not that lazy, all right?
You want to know the truth? I threw together all my materials an hour before we started this
I
podcast.
know, because I didn't see anything on the thing till an hour before. But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, it's whatever.
It's okay. No.
So that kind of concludes our summary of the lives of these two crazy...
The Sphincter twins, or the Spahalskis.
And Brucey and Stevie, they lived a crazy life.
Oh, they're still alive.
They're still living their crazy life.
You don't know. They might come and know Jesus. You never know. And then they'll have at youth group. They'll have all the kids gathered around at camp. What camp did you guys camp direct at? Never mind. They'll have all the kids out at the campfire and be like, "Let me tell you about this time that I ate this dude's face off." And he'll be the nicest, most godly person ever.
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Probably not, but Jesus is very powerful. So you never know, but probably not. There's my religion. Insert Jesus in there, so now we can have this in chapel.
So with the conclusion of this, we'd just like to thank you for listening.
Oh, of course.
Go ahead and go to our Instagram. It's called Twincast. We would love to get some DMs of some requests of famous twins to research on in the future. They don't have to be murderers. They can be
I was thinking
reason.
Dylan and Cole Sprouse, something more like PG, but who knows? Are they
Let's
weird?
go with that. We can go with
know.
that. And for those of you who don't know who they are, then you're going to know and you're going to get a life.
Will they? You never know.
So
that's all I got.
I guess that's all we got too.
Thank you for listening, and have a
real.
nice day.